The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "Now I am going to the one who sent me, and not one of you asked me, 'Where are you going?' But because I told you this, grief has filled your hearts. But I tell you the truth, it is better for you that I go. For if I do not go, the Advocate will not come to you. But if I go, I will send him to you. And when he comes, he will convict the world in regard to sin and righteousness and condemnation. Sin, because they do not believe in me. Righteousness, because I am going to the Father, and you will no longer see me. Condemnation, because the ruler of this world has been condemned." The Gospel of the Lord. A couple of things to notice about our reading from the Acts of the Apostles today. First of all, that at the end of the reading, we hear that the jailer was baptized, but not just the jailer, but his entire family as well. They were all baptized together. This is one of the many examples in the Acts of the Apostles that we see indications about infant baptisms, that people can be baptized even if they're not fully conscious enough to make the decision for themselves. Presumably, when it says the jailer and his whole family was baptized, it was probably not just his adult spouse, but also his children. So he made the decision for them. Something I found striking about reflecting on this passage today, we read about Paul and Silas being beaten and imprisoned, and in the night there was an earthquake, and they could have easily escaped from the cell, and yet they remained in their jail cell. Why did they remain in the cell? Because they knew if they had fled, then the jailer would have been in some very serious trouble. And so even in the midst of their own persecution and imprisonment, they thought first for the well-being of the jailer. They were persecuted and they were beaten, but they did not so much seek vengeance or vindication as much as they still sought the conversion of those who had imprisoned them and beaten them. And because of their merciful act towards the jailer was moved to conversion. It's a great rule of thumb for us to remember. Sometimes when we think about converting others, the easy thing to point to, sometimes we think, is to point out their wrongs or to point out their sinfulness or to speak the truth. Not that any of those things are bad, but sometimes what is more powerful than anything else is sincere mercy and sincere goodwill. In our life, it's important for us to remember this, that as Christians and as Catholics, vindication and vengeance is not a virtue that we hold, but mercy is a virtue that we hold to. It's a book called The Brothers Karamazov by Fodor Dostoyevsky, and one of the things I love about that book, one of my favorite quotes, is from Father Zosima. Father Zosima was this abbot in the story, and one of his quotes is he said that we should treat all of those around us as if they were a child. And what he meant by that was not that you look down upon them or you belittle them, but rather, when a child wounds us or offends us or harms us, we don't take it personally. But rather, our first thought is, how do I correct this behavior? And what is the best way for me to go about improving the behavior of my child, helping them grow in maturity and responsibility? And the reality, according to Father Zosima, is that all human beings are essentially children in grown-up bodies. And so when we are persecuted or mistreated or wounded or whatever you want to say, it's important that we remember that we should treat everyone as if they were a child, not take it too personally, not be filled with resentment and the desire for vengeance, but rather be filled with the desire for true mercy. True mercy which doesn't just simply ignore what happened, but true mercy that still wills their good and their benefit, despite what they've done to us.